Ahoy mateys! So, guess what? Working on the beachcraft today. This thing is in serious need of some help. So, we're getting it ready for the season. And I'm actually going to use it. And it needs used. You don't buy a boat this size, or a boat in general, and not use it. So, the sled is, I'm afraid, kind of backburnered at the moment. So, yes, I might work on that today too. But so what I've done so far, I washed this thing. It was absolutely disgusting. It's still kind of grungy everywhere. And Dustin and I put wipers on it. Check them out. And go. Sounds like crap, looks like crap, but functionality is key. Because you can't exactly see out of this thing without them. So, at this point, we, last weekend washed it, wipers, and then we took that Mercury 9.9 off of this boat and took my Mariner 9.9 4-stroke. And as I said in a previous video, we were swapping trolling motors. Got the Mariner on here so that we've got 4-stroke with 4-stroke and 2-stroke with 2-stroke. So that way I can eliminate those, the red gas cans. There was one in that boat to run the other motor and one in this boat to run the other motor. So now we're going to be feeding off of primary fuel supply, which is going to save weight and be less of a hassle. So, but here's the issue at hand. This trolling motor is going to work phenomenal for this, but it's tiller handle. So, meaning you have to run it with this handle here. And there's this power trim thing in order to trim it up and down, which is fantastic. But the handle is so close to the transom that you couldn't steer it anyway. And you could put an extension on there, but it's like having a U-joint that's overcocked. So I need to run this from the helm, which is because even when you're standing here, even if you were able to run it, you can't see anything over yonder. I mean, you could see over here and you could see over there, but you're pretty well blind. So to run it from the helm, obviously it's not set up for that, but it's about to be. So I bought this. Check this apparatus out. Facebook Marketplace. Literally my favorite place to shop. So this is an Evinrude controller from, no idea, guessing pretty new, just because of the color. So came with keys, nice cables, everything I need. I could wire this trim switch instead of the switch up here. So this switch up here, there's one right here. This is for that trim deal on the transom. I could wire it to this just to be cool, but not totally necessary. So in order to make this work on a tiller handle, that's the project. So it came with these cables that are 25 feet long. Oh my God, they're long. So my plan is to mount that sucker about there, run the cables down inside of this cubby up to the top, and then probably do a loop or two. And in a perfect world, I won't send them over the top of the transom because that looks tacky. But inside of here, there's access to this area. So I should be able to go through here, around there, and out the transom, which means making some big holes, which I'm not a huge fan of, but maybe I can do there's already holes. There's already giant holes here. I got power wire, and this is the trim wire. I mean, there's already these giant holes. I could make another hole here, maybe do a plate. Anyway, the challenge is, how do you attach the cables to that motor? Yeah, so that's a trick. So I've got a plan. I took this thing off. This is the little cover plate for the shifter. You can see there. So let me climb out of this thing and I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's gonna be, this is dangerous, by the way. I need to make some steps. Oh, one of these days I'm gonna fall and hurt myself. So yeah, I gotta attach cables to that motor, which is easier said than done. So I made this. This is a bracket, obviously. So my plan is, let me come over here, climb up my stump. Ooh. Okay. So this sucker is gonna mount right here. So I made this. It's kind of floppy, but should work great. So this thing here, if you force it this way, forward, force it this way, reverse. So let me open the hood here. I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as shifting goes. So this rod turns a little mechanism that turns another rod. And inside there, that rod is square. And it is on most motors, believe it or not. And that square is almost 1/2 inch. So I took a socket. This is a 14mm half drive socket. It's a little floppy on there, but honestly, I think I could make adjustments in the cable in order to take some of that out. So when you rotate that square shaft, it shifts. So I made this steel thing here with a bunch of holes in it so that I can mount the cable in different positions and then make adjustments on the cable in order to make it work properly. So the shifting, that's the easy part. The hard part is the throttle. So I made this bracket that's gonna hold the ass end of the cables. So you see these big holes here, these 4 holes. That's because somebody had the genius idea before me. They made their own brackets and used just cable clamps. So those 2 nuts right there and these cable clamps going over the adjuster will go through my holes. And I slotted that. Really, the slots weren't the first idea. I was just gonna mount the cables to the outside. So I'm gonna have to mount them to the inside because after I put this on here and looked at it, I'm too far out. So I'm gonna run if I ran the cables on the outside of that, it'd be kind of too steep of an angle. So I'm gonna run them on the inside, hence the slots. And those 2 holes right there, these 2, I'm gonna drill holes in this aluminum and a hole in the bottom, hence that hole, and I'm gonna bolt that right there. And it should hold very stout, and just 3/4 inch bolts should do it. And then mount the cables on here and then attach the cables there. So yes, this cable is gonna go to the bracket, piece of cake, right? It's gonna go to the lower section. And then the upper section is gonna be the throttle cable. So the throttle cable is gonna mount to the top like that, through the slot. And then I'm actually going to drill another hole and put a lever. And this lever, I'm gonna attach a rod from here to the top of this lever that I'm gonna build here with a pivot, and then have another hole in the bottom of the pivot with a rod that goes to the carburetor. Because this throttle cable, the swing is 2 inches, but the carburetor, the swing is 3/4 of an inch. So if I were to attach the throttle cable directly, or throttle control cable directly to the carburetor, I would literally have like an inch of throw in the handle would be full throttle. And I need more adjustability to that, because I mean, when you're trolling, you need all the sensitivity you can get in order to find, because you're tuning this thing for 1 to 2 mile an hour differentials, you know, for the perfect speed in order to catch the fish. So I need that adjustability. So next trick, I'm going to be attaching cable clamps to this thing after I get it mounted, and then we're going to come up with the fulcrum and lever with a rod for the throttle. Don't look at my welds, they're atrocious. But you do what you do. So this thing took me 10 minutes to make. I did it kind of during my break at work, and just with some scrap metal. This is 3/16 aluminum, 6061, and it should be plenty strong for what we're needing it to do. Remember this? This motor, when I bought it, had a gaping hole right here, and it just goes into the cavity for the shaft. It doesn't hold fluids or anything up here, but I welded this shut and then sprayed it with Flex Seal, and believe it or not, that's still holding on strong. Fantastic repair. So get this mounted, get the cables attached, but first, before I attach the cables, I need to route them through the hole and mount the whole thing. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a trick, and thanks for watching. And this is going to be experimental, but nonetheless, it's happening, and it needs to happen. I don't know what else to call it other than making a tiller handle a console control. So here we go. Let's get started. Just dropped the value of this motor, $200. Let's do it again. 400, and I already got that one. Okay, so like most of you, when you drill holes through something, they never line up, but let's find out. Woo, doggy. Let's bolt this sucker on. I need to put that vertical one in first. There we go, mounted. Hell for stout. Got a bolt going down through there, yonder, and then these two going through the side. Couldn't put a washer on that one because of my weld right there, but man, that snugged up nice. And this all still functions, and yeah, that turned out perfect. So this portion of things is done. Next, I need to mount the controller and run the cables out the transom, which I hate to make giant holes here because there's no way around it. I have to get this through the transom when this sucker's like 1.25 inches. It's huge, and you'd think that you could disassemble this, but not this particular type. You can't take these apart. So I mean, maybe you could, but as far as my research goes, yeah, not gonna work. So I either pass them over the top of the transom or I make giant holes. Not a fan of either. I don't know, I'll figure something out. But this is done. Got to get the cables going out here, that way I can hook them up to the motor. I can at least get the shift linkage done, which is going to be this one to there, and then get the throttle cable attached here and over here, and then I can work on my pivot. Okay, I got this thing mounted. Not bad. Sitting here feels good. Comfort's key. And just use these 2/4 inch Phillips. There is a third, but I'd have to drill through this aluminum, and really it's stout enough by itself. And I just threw some nuts and washers. I'm gonna have to trim those bolts off, that way nobody gets hurt. But now, cable routing. Got a lot here. So goes that way, I got it going around that and back. about 25 feet of cable, and I'm literally going from here to there. So I'm gonna pass it in this cubby, probably do a loop or 6, and then I was gonna go behind the transom or inside the transom and then come out a hole. But considering how the motor tilts and turns, I think, and I've taken these bolts out, I think my plan is I'm gonna come through here, and then I pulled this off, and I'm gonna come out that cubby hole, and I'm just gonna come out like right here behind this pad and then under this bar. So it might turn out okay. Worst case, I gotta pull it back out and make giant holes. So try to get this routed and looped inside there, and then feel the swing before and after to make sure I'm not in any sort of bind. That's my next trick. Well, that actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was gonna. So cables, I'm gonna have to do some frame clamps or something. Tie that in there like that. Goes back up in there, way out to the end, all the way back. Loop this way, all the way up at the top. And then I got a bit of a gap here, so I don't smash them too hard, which is no big deal. And I just passed it out here under the thing, and there they are right there. So really, I think that's gonna be great. I'm gonna attach the fixed end of the cables with the frame clamps into my notches and whatnot, and then I'm gonna steer it by hand, and then trim it up all the way and back down and make sure the cables don't bind or anything. But as of right now, with the loop and everything, come back over here and feel it out. Just as easy as it was. So, yeah, next trick is attach the cables to the motor. Okay, this is all working to plan till now. This is gonna work out great, but this cable clamp, I don't have enough threads here. So I'm gonna take it back off, and this part here, I'm gonna grind it a little thinner so that I can get some nuts on there. That's my plan, at least. Obviously this will be attached right there like that. So once I get this attached, that's the easy part. Shifting's the easy part. The throttle is going to be a little bit of witchcraft. It's going to be cable going this way, just like this, and then a rod going from the cable to the top of a fulcrum here, and then lower on that piece will be a rod to replace this one. This is where we're at. It started raining on me, so that's great. Look at this apparatus I got going on here. Hold on, let me reposition. Okay. It looks a little crazy, but cable clamp, bracket, shift cable, linkage arm, shift mechanism, okay? And then throttle mechanism. This is my throttle cable, cable clamp, rod end, link rod, fulcrum rod. So now my next trick is to replace this rod with a rod that runs from here to one of these holes, but still be able to shut the hood. And I've got coat hanger. So yeah, I'm gonna set you up here and we'll do a little bit of swing, and you'll get to see how things operate. Let's see here if I can do this. Oh, let me grab my Walmart special right here. Ugh. Yep, this is great. Okay, it's all soaking wet, but nonetheless. Hey-ya, hoo, ha, hit. Swing out. Okay, so if I don't edit that part out, then sue me. Oh, come on. That should work. Okay, I'm gonna hit the levers. All right, here we go. Forward, throttle. And then reverse and throttle. not bad. I'll have to watch a video to be 100% sure, but that's where I'm at so far. Okay, it's taken me all day, but here it is. This is the final rendition. So I had to go and pick up a piece of 1/8 inch rod, and that's running directly to the carburetor through the cowling. I had to notch notch this cover a little bit in order to get it through there, but that's done. And then the wiring, I ran it into the engine there, and basically wired the kill switch, power wire, and starter. That's it. And then I ran fuel line. I just tucked it in right here. Ran this all the way to my filter base. So it goes in here next to the fish box. There's a filter base, and there's 2 outlets on it, like most filter bases, and one of them obviously goes to here, and the other one now goes to there. So all you got to do is flip the batteries on and turn the key. Carburetor needs cleaned, typical, but it's done. So the only thing that's left from here is this. This is a turning rod. You connect this between your 2 outdrives, and or in this particular case between, like I've got one that connects, well, it used to connect from this little rusty bolt. I used to connect a rod from here to that pin right there hanging off of the so I could link those 2 motors together. That way I could like set the idle and then run over there and sit down and troll without having to, steer without having to sit back there, which was really handy at times, especially during the pouring rain, because I could put the top up and hide out in there and maintain the correct speed. But my plan is to connect this to that, and which is going to be a little tricky. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it yet, but basically whatever I do, I need to make sure that they can both trim up and down independently. So that's going to be a little challenge, because things grow when they move apart. So yeah, so steering is next, and all I really want to do is link the 2, and that should do it. And yeah, so that was a big job, and I'm happy the way it turned out. It's a bit of a MacGyver setup, but hell, man, if it works, it works. And the steering system, I don't know, this came with the boat. I don't know much about it. I know it's adjustable. Kind of an interesting thing. The heim joint ends here, they are designed for air compressor fittings. So you just put an air chuck over that and away you go. Quick disconnect kind of thing. Okay, I've got a colossal mess here I got to pick up, and yeah, thanks for watching. I'll probably set up the steering rod and take this thing fishing. All right, let's get after it. All right, mission accomplished. I can now run the trolling motor from the helm. So this is how I did it. I made this little bracket on the back of the stern drive. This reducer, I sent a Allen headed bolt through and bolted this reducer down, and then a bushing, and then this air chuck fitting, and then this is store-bought, came with the male stuff, and then same thing over here, and that's that. All right, guys, that's a complete project, and we'll move on to the next challenge. But first, let's get this thing wet. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.